Thank you very much, Tom, for the introduction, and thank you for inviting us today and for doing this exercise of asking each of your members how they relate to the vision and to the pact. It's very important for us. We are very grateful also for your engagement from day one, from the very launch of this pact, from the very start of thinking what the pact could be, because we wanted this to be a bottom-up process. And so we have had no less than I think 11 brainstorming sessions to come up with the proposal for the pact. And yeah, we are very aware, especially as I've been in a situation of managing rural organizations before. I know the resources that are available and that are not, and so we are very grateful for the effort you have been putting into the process so far, and also to tell your members that you are all very well represented in this discussion. So let me share my screen. Hide the floating controls. And okay. And I would be most grateful if somebody could confirm that everything's running well on your end.
Yes, we can see very well.
Okay, thank you, Ursula. Thank you very much. So I'm going to, but we see from the survey that a number of you are not fully informed about the vision and the pact. So I'm going to present a bit in a nutshell what we've done across the past 3-4 years since 2020, focusing on now rather than the past. But you will be able to ask questions on how the vision was developed if that's of interest to you. So as you may know, this got started by the president of the European Commission when she got elected in 2019, when she got appointed as the president of the Commission in 2019. She brought this idea of the long-term vision for the EU's rural areas because she felt we needed a debate. We needed to launch a debate with European citizens, with all European citizens, urban and rural, on the place of rural areas in the future of the continent, on the role they have to play, on the contribution they can make, and on what they need, what they want. And she really, I would say, in unprecedented and I mean, terms that were new for a decision maker at that level, said, you know, she really promoted the importance of rural areas, which is something that has only grown since. With the COVID crisis, with the war in Ukraine, it's very prominent in the conclusions of the Council that were approved 2 days ago, that rural areas are important for the resilience of the continent. And she said rural areas are the fabric of our society and the heartbeat of our economy. So they're not only important because they're beautiful, but they're important because they contribute to the economy. The diversity of the landscape, culture, and heritage is one of Europe's most defining and remarkable features. So she highlighted how much rural areas are constitutive to the identity of the continent and the economic potential. She said we will cherish and preserve our rural areas and invest in their future. So to do that, she tasked 3 members of her team, one vice president, the vice president in charge of demography and democracy, really echoing how much rural development is a question of importance to these 2 things. Rural areas are very exposed to demographic change, and the way rural people feel taken care of or not, listened to or not in the democratic system is also an issue at the moment. So Dubravka Šuica was asked to coordinate the work with Commissioner Janusz Wojciechowski, Commissioner in charge of Agriculture. Rural development is also part of his mandate. To lead the development of this vision with the co-lead of Commissioner for Cohesion and Reforms, Elisa Ferreira. So this in itself was an innovative movement in the way it recognizes really the holistic approach that we need to talk about the future of rural areas. We embarked into a year of work with 3 main streams of work: analytical work. So we grouped all the data we had on rural areas across a variety of themes that matter to rural life. We created a participatory group to do foresight. So to develop this long-term vision, it's built on foresight. So looking forward to 2040. With scenario development that were done by the Joint Research Center together with a group of the European Network for Rural Development, 50 experts. And we had a lot of stakeholder engagement activities as well, a public consultation, but also a package was developed for everyone to conduct their little workshop and return a feedback sheet. And there were Eurobarometers. So there was a lot of work during 1 year to really, in a very bottom-up spirit, to really collect the aspirations of Europeans for rural areas by 2040. The communication was published in June 21. A communication is, I always say, is a text that prepares the ground for future policy or legislative activity. It's not a law, it's not a new program, it's not a new fund, it doesn't come with additional money. It just explains how to better manage the funds that we have, the money that we have, the systems that we have, what are the needs, what works, what doesn't, and propose some actions and some things to do about it. So that's what a communication is. So that was published in June 21, and in a nutshell, to summarize summarize the aspirations as they come into this vision, we structured it into 4 blocks: stronger, connected, resilient, and prosperous rural areas by 2040. Under stronger, we grouped things that are about community empowerment, access to services, capacities to innovate, capacities to create solutions to the problems that are coming at local level. I mean, global problems, but how they are taken into account at local level, and aspects related to youth in terms of access to recreation, education, etc., is also under stronger rural areas. So stronger rural communities. Under connected rural areas, we look at digital connectivity and physical connectivity. So both the capacity to go to take advantage of the digital transition, both in terms of infrastructures, but also developing innovations, digital innovation for and with and by rural people, and also advancing digital skills. And we also have the transport, because mobility remains a very big problem in a lot of, or becomes even a big problem in a lot of rural areas, especially in the light of climate change and the need to do a bit less with cars. I mean, that's wished for, but what is the solution that rural people have on that front? Under resilience, rural areas will look at resilience to upcoming changes, both in terms of environment and climate change. So it's a lot about greening agriculture, more sustainable ways of producing in rural areas, of managing natural resources, but also social resilience. So the capacity of communities to maintain themselves and also welcome new people in. We have elements related to welcoming migrants and refugees in rural areas, and all issues related to gender equality, gender balance are also under that block. And finally, prosperous rural areas is, of course, very important. We need economic activities in rural areas. Agriculture, forestry play a big role, and they need to be sustained and developed in ways that bring higher added value, quality products, strong links with the territorial development, etc. But we also need economic diversifications towards other activities and other sectors. The role of social economy is prominently highlighted there, as well as the need to provide job opportunities to young people to have also businesses. So this summary into 4 blocks, it's somehow a simplification of the shared goals. So we also formulate 10 shared goals, and these shared goals, they really come from the bottom and from all these consultation activities we've had. I will show them to you quickly, because they're a bit of a mouthful, but they're rich. They're rich in capturing the nuances and what we want to achieve by 2040. There are 2 ways, 2 avenues that are proposed by the communication to achieve this rural vision. One is the Rural Action Plan. The Rural Action Plan, the EU Rural Action Plan, is a series of actions taken by the European Commission services across the different European Commission services. So agriculture and rural development, of course, regional development, of course, but also all the other DGs, Directorate General, so sorts of ministries, and the Rural Pact, which is comes from the recognition that, you know, we cannot do it alone. At Commission, a lot of things that impact the lives of rural people and rural communities and rural areas are in the hands of the other levels of governance, on the competence even of the national level. You take health, schools, etc. So for this, we needed to launch the Rural Pact, which is an endeavor to bring everybody on board achieving this rural vision, including the stakeholders. So that, I hope, gives you the big picture. Now, if we dive a bit into the details, these are the 10 shared goals that we aim to achieve by 2040. So you see they're complex. It's just a summary. You have a more complete text in the communication. But we want, I mean, Europeans said they would like rural areas to be, by 2040, attractive spaces, develop in harmonious territorial development, engage in multi-level and place-based governance, providers of food security, economic opportunities, goods and services, well-being was highlighted very much, inclusion, flourishing sources of nature, so the link to the natural resources, which is very much an opportunity, fully benefiting from digital innovation and transition, entrepreneurial, innovative and skilled people, lively places equipped with efficient, accessible and affordable public and private services, and places of diversity. So these goals are very important, and they show the cross-cutting nature and the cross-cutting ambition of the vision, although they're a bit not always easy to transform into operational things. We're looking at even how to translate them into indicators. How do we follow progress? So that's a question on which we're working. But they show that this is far beyond a classical conception of rural development that would be only about agriculture, for example. The EU Rural Action Plan. So as I said, we have proposed 30 actions. 24 of them are thematic actions, so they contribute to the 4 blocks: stronger, connected, resilient, prosperous, on different aspects. And out of these 24, 9 are flagship initiatives and 15 are more. So the flagships are bigger actions, or they have several sub-actions underneath, and 15 accompanying actions are a bit more simple, maybe, but it's a bit. I mean, all actions are important. We show the flagships to simplify a bit because 24 is too much, but just to explain that the jargon maybe doesn't play such a big role. These are the biggest actions, but the other ones that are not there, such as, for example, enhancing networking for leader and smart villages, is very important, and it is not put it as a flagship, but the effort is equally invested into this action. So you can see here 9 flagship. One of the rural revitalization platform. It is an endeavor to create a one-stop shop to support communities to provide guidance and help interaction for collaboration with communities that are facing population decline and economic decline. So those that are hit the hardest. I will explain you how we've done this, because this is done now. And then the flagship on research and innovation for rural communities is really a place where I can even move to the next one, where you have some details. So the revitalization platform was launched on 29th of June. I will show a few screenshots on this. Research and innovation is very important. We need more knowledge about rural areas, developed with rural actors. So for that, we have invested in the first 4 years of the Horizon Europe program, which is Europe's program for research and innovation, 120 million euros in calls that are really dedicated to rural research and innovation. And we apply them what we call the multi-actor approach, which is a legal requirement in the call for researchers to work together with practitioners on the ground. So you have the possibility as rural organizations to join the consortium. We've had discussions with Vanessa on some obstacles you're facing there, especially if you don't have a legal entity. So you need to be a legal entity. But we have a lot of rural organizations taking part in these calls and benefiting from the research created there. We have launched also the Startup Village Forum, which is an initiative to look at startup-driven innovation. Then under connected rural areas, we have 2 flagships, one on sustainable mobility for rural areas and another one on rural digital futures. So under sustainable mobility, for example, the DG Move of the European Commission, so the department in charge of transport and mobility has launched the SmartaNet project, which provides technical assistance and supports the creation of a network of rural municipalities interested in mobility. And the Rural Digital Futures flagship really looks at all digital things, so that includes investments into infrastructures, but also supporting specific calls and the horizon to develop digital innovations for rural areas. And they run also the Digital Skills and Jobs platform. They have launched a pilot on digital education in remote areas and a lot of dedicated calls on 5G for smart communities from which rural areas can benefit. And finally, data, again, a rural in digital index, so a place where we can see the indicators on how rural areas are doing in the digital transition, so we can really take action there. Under resilient rural areas, we have flagships on energy, on climate, on soil, and on women, social resilience and women in rural areas. So these include a lot of different actions as well. I would not go into details of all of this because it's going to be too long. And fine, but you can ask questions afterwards if you want. But I'll take just energy because this one is very interesting and concrete. So the DG Energy has created a Rural Energy Communities Advisory Hub, which was really an initiative to provide guidance again to municipalities who want to develop these rural energy communities and build on the potential of rural renewable energies and get the value from this energy production for their own community. So this is really interesting, and they accompany a number of communities, but they draw guidance that can be useful to all. And finally, there's a flagship on entrepreneurship and social economy where the growth department, so growth and industry department of the Commission, he's investing into work on clusters and connected rural people to clusters. And they have done calls for rural areas related to proximity and social economy. So you can see there's a wealth of things on the thematic front. In addition to this thematic front, we have 6 horizontal actions. So these are really to improve the governance of rural and the development and policy making in rural policy, or how rural is taken into account in general policy making. So the first 3 actions, the Rural Observatory, the functional rural areas, and improving statistics, they are really about improving the way we collect data on rural areas, and we visualize this data and we make it accessible to people, to ourselves for our policy making, but to everybody for their policy making, all their actions on the ground. So the Rural Observatory is a dedicated website where you can visualize a wealth of different sources of data, European statistics or data managed by the Joint Research Center. The Rural Observatory is run by the Joint Research Center of the European Commission under an agreement with DG Regional and Urban Policy. And you can go there and zoom on your area and see which indicators are available. You can see maps of Europe for plenty of different indicators. And you can see also for a number of indicators, what is the difference in value, for example, at national level on rural areas versus intermediate areas or urban areas. So you can see how rural is doing compared to others. We're working with the statistics department of the Commission to improve statistics on rural areas and have the member states collect more data at the more granular level, at the more local level. This is progressing well, but you have to know this is the member states paying for the collection of this data. So when we ask more, there's a cost aspect, and we need to convince them. And functional rural areas is an attempt at defining a cartography, a typology of areas that would be between the municipal level and the small regions, and that would make a bit more sense and bring more comparable data across Europe, because you have countries with very small municipalities and others with very big municipalities, and so when you look at municipal statistics, it's not very comparable. Rural proofing is a very important part. Rural proofing is about looking at new initiatives that are developed through a rural lens. That means wondering, when we develop a new law, a new regulation, what are they? How may rural areas be specifically impacted by this new law. So really wondering how to reduce negative impacts and improve positive impacts for rural communities. So this is something in which we are engaged, but is also very challenging to implement. So you can have a question on this if you want after that. The toolkit on EU funding is a tool that the Joint Research Center is going to present just after me. So I leave the floor to them for that. And finally, the Rural Pact. So in the Rural Action Plan, we have this action, which is to propose a Rural Pact, propose this framework. So what is the Rural Pact? It's, as I said, it comes from the recognition that not very little, but not enough is managed at the EU level to really trigger the change that we need in rural areas. A lot of the competencies are in the hands of the member states, and even the choice of how the EU funds are used, the Common Agricultural Policy, the Regional Development Policy, the key choices are made by national governments. But things like schools, keeping schools open or hospitals open, for example, this is solely a national decision. Investing into many different sorts of things is solely a national decision, or regional or local. So we felt we really need this cooperation between the different levels of governance so that everybody takes their responsibility to act for the shared goals of the rural vision, and also with the stakeholders. We didn't want this to be solely a discussion between governments, but we wanted to have the stakeholders at the same level in this conversation. So the Rural Pact is really this formal space and framework to boost cooperation between these governments, civil society organizations such as yours, businesses, academics, and citizens to act towards the shared goals of the vision. As I said in introduction, we've had a lot of brainstorming sessions to come up with an idea of what this could be, because in the communication it was just an idea, and we wanted to develop it with people, so not come with a commission view ready-made of how it should be. So we had a number of brainstorming sessions with the three networks that steer the European Rural Parliament, and this was said in the communication that we should work with the European Rural Parliament, so ERCA, ELARD, and Prepare. And we also brought the other European institutions into the discussion, the Council, the Committee of the Regions, the Economic and Social Committee, and the European Parliament, to have everybody on board. And we came up with a proposal, and at the same time we launched the creation of the Rural Pact community as well in December 2021. And with all these discussions, we convened everybody, we gathered everybody at the Rural Pact conference, the first Rural Pact conference in June 22, to look at a proposal, and we had a lot of participatory sessions, and the proposal was endorsed. We came up with 3 objectives for the Rural Pact through these brainstorming sessions. The first one is really an advocacy element. It's about amplifying the voice of rural areas and bringing them higher in the policy agendas. And the icon there is important. It's not only about the voice being louder, but it's about the ear listening more as well. So we need both of these things, the sending end and the receiving end. We need this to work better. The second objective is about networking, collaboration, and mutual learning, because there's a lot happening in rural areas, which is very good, and there's a lot that can be learned from each other. This is what you do in your network already, but doing it with all the rural organizations, and also with contributions of urban and thematic organizations, can be very interesting. And the third one is to encourage people to act, to implement this, to reach this rural vision objective, so commitments to act. We have by now over 2,000 people in the Rural Pact community. We're very happy with that. We have received close to 120 commitments to act. And there are 5 types of participants in the Rural Pact: public authorities, academic and research and innovation bodies, businesses, individuals, and civil society. And participating in the Pact means having joined the Rural Pact community and committing to act for one or more of its objectives. And it can be simple things. The idea is that everybody contributes with the means they have at their level, and that together we create critical mass in this Pact. So you have the link there to become a member of the Rural Pact community. You'll have it on every slide almost from now on. So please do join. It's the first step, and then making a commitment is a second step. To help to facilitate this Rural Pact process, we want the Rural Pact to be the pact of the communities, not the pact of the Commission. So we have set up two important things to help the process: a Rural Pact Support Office, which is a body contracted to help with facilitation of the Rural Pact, so provide facilitation services to the Rural Pact community, do networking and information, build synergies with other networks and other governing bodies, because this is a lot about coordination, and evaluating the needs of the Rural Pact community, support its work. And we have at least Ursula with us, Ursula Tabor with us today from this Rural Pact Support Office. We have a beautiful team of people very engaged in organizing events and developing good papers and good practices, etc. And we also needed a governance body. This is why we have set up a Rural Pact coordination group. This is an informal group, which is not here to, like provide advice to the European Commission on text that it does, but it's really set up to steer the Rural Pact process. It has a mandate of 3 years, just like the Rural Pact Support Office, and you can learn more by clicking on the link. It's a group of 30 people with 18 stakeholder organizations and 12 representatives from the European institutions. So again, we have the Committee of the Regions, the Economic and Social Committee, the European Parliament, and representatives of the member states. So for member states, we have the trio of presidencies of the Council. And for each of these institutions, we have asked for two members, one from two different ministries, ideally, or two different commissions, or two different. So we have the agriculture side that always comes to rural discussions, but we also want others to come, and it depends on the institution which this other can be, but cohesion side or other ministries. The Rural Pact Support Office does these numbers of activities. So they develop good practices, they do animation and networking, they manage the website of the Rural Pact, and they do social media activities. They publish a magazine once a year and newsletters every month. They take an overview of the commitments to act. They provide the logistics for the and the animation for the Rural Pact coordination group meetings. They organize good practice webinars, policy action labs, and policy forums. So this is a number of activities that are very interesting. In 23, for example, we had 2 policy labs, one on taking action to tackle rural depopulation in Brussels, and we have one coming up on EU funds paving the way to the rural vision, where we will look at how to improve access to funding, 1, and 2, how to mobilize enhanced funding for rural areas. In the second part, we have 4 good practice webinars. 3 have taken place already, 1 on social entrepreneurship, 1 on digital skills for all people, and 1 on the rural areas in the energy transition. And next week, we have a 4th and last webinar of the year on enhancing access to health services in rural areas. And the biggest event of the year was the high-level rural policy forum that was organized by the Rural Pact Support Office, but co-organized with the Spanish presidency of the Council of the EU and the European Commission. And this was really an event centered on attracting attention and having a discussion with the national authorities on what they can do for this pact. This was really the priority of the first year. It was to bring the national level on board, because we could see at the first Rural Pact conference that the stakeholders were there, but they were all saying we need things to change from the national perspective. And so we have put the priority on this year. So with this event, also There's been work on developing a policy briefing on how to make the Rural Pact happen in the member states, because it was not necessarily clear from member state what is it that we can do. So now Ursula, who's here, has worked on developing with the community and with a lot of consultation on developing these ingredients, these 7 ingredients that can make a successful Rural Pact at national level. When you will have the PPT, you can click on the images and you have the links to the documents. And the high-level policy forum was also here to trigger and prepare the adoption of council conclusions on the long-term vision for rural areas after the publication of the communication. So a communication is also a text that the European Commission sends to the institutions to get their feedback on the policy issue. So very soon after publishing the communication in year 22, we have received the opinions of the Committee of the Regions, of the Economic and Social Committee, and a very good report from the European Parliament in December. But at the Council, we didn't have a position. And there's been a number of activities and attempts. So under the French presidency, there was discussion in the context of the conclusions on the 8th cohesion report, but it was only a very small reference to the rural vision. Under the Czech presidency, the Czech government has preferred to lead by example by launching a national rural pact. That was very good, but no position from the council. And then this year, there's been really a good process set up with the Swedish presidency organizing the Rural Pact conference in Sweden to start, making it clearer what the pact could be for the member states. And then the Spanish presidency engaged in and committed to develop, to make a debate on the council conclusions on the LTVRA, on the long-term vision for all areas, part of their 6 months presidency, with the high-level rural policy forum serving as a basis to develop this, and also the Rural Pact conference in Sweden. So finally, the council conclusions were adopted on Monday. We are very happy. It's a milestone. I'm quoting some elements from the council press release on highlighting what's in there, but you can read them for yourselves. You have the link here at the bottom to the full text. And what they highlight is that they do highlight rural areas as key contributors to the EU's economies and societies. They do highlight the geopolitical context important for resilience. They highlight the need for a holistic approach to address rural challenges. They say we need to make sure rural voices are heard. They highlight the importance of connectivity and digital skills, and a number of other themes that they don't quote in their release, but it's there as well. And the importance of investments from EU, national, regional, and local sources. And they even say, this funding should take into account the vital role of rural areas for Europe's future and resilience. So it's a good result. Of course, we could always want more in the language that is used, but it's very good. And for the next steps, they call on the Commission to consider developing the vision into an EU rural strategy with a comprehensive and flexible approach and relevant indicators. We're quoting the text here. And they encourage member states. So that's important for you, for us, because we have been working for that, but for you as well. They encourage member states to further engage in the Rural Pact and develop strategies and actions plans at national, regional, and local level for the benefit of rural areas. So here you have an anchor that you can use in each of your countries to try to ask your government now, what are you going to do? And the Rural Pact is only a means to an end. What we want is better policies, better schemes for rural areas. So this is what we're aiming at. So we're happy that this took place, and from that basis we can progress. I promised you a screenshot of the Rural Pact community platform. So this is a platform we have set up really to have a one place where we can have this collaboration on rural issues. It includes the rural revitalization platform that I showed you in the action plan first. So we wanted to have a space to interact with communities that are facing population loss and economic decline. But we also needed collaboration in the broader sense for the Rural Pact. So we did only one platform. There are enough platforms not to multiply even more. So we put it in there, but you have rural revitalization is one of the focuses on the platform. So on every part of the platform, you have some yellow circles and some green circles. The yellow circles is content which is tagged for rural revitalization. So you can find this if you are a community facing population losses. You can go for the content which is more on rural revitalization. This is a place for people to have their own space for interaction. You can create your own profile. You can tag the topics that you like best. You can say at which level you work, and you can then configure what sorts of information you're going to have access to. We provide a number of resources there. So the Rural Pact Support Office develops good practices. You can suggest good practices to us and to them, so that we can develop these fiches also based on what you do. So we encourage you to tell us. And you can access those that have been developed already. And the new feature we have, so here you can see the yellow and green indicators, I mean circles that we were talking about. New feature is the community groups. So we propose that people can create community groups, which is a smaller space on the platform dedicated to either one theme, or it could be one geographical community. So one national community, for example. I think for a start, national would be good. And it can be a way, if ever you don't have a website yet, or you don't have a place for interaction between stakeholders and rural stakeholders in one country, you could create a group like this and use it. And the group needs to be in one language. It can be your national language, and then we have automated translation to make the information accessible to others. And if you're looking at the group in English, you can use the automated translation to access it in your language. Of course, it's automated translation. It's not perfect, but it's already something. So I will end with we see the need for people to understand better what's in it for them, what's in it for you in this Rural Pact, and what you can do for the Rural Pact, because it's some people get a bit lost, and we can understand this. And the way we see it is, if we look at the different objectives of the Pact, so if we look at the amplifying rural voices, what we're trying to do is to create a momentum at EU level and with member states for more and better action for all areas. And you can see with the Council conclusions, and if you would read the positions from the Parliament, it's also there that we have this broad agreement that rural areas matter and that they need to be to benefit from more and better action from holistic rural strategies. And so what you can do is use this momentum in your respective countries to ask for improvement, to ask for the strategies to also be developed in each of the countries. The Rural Pact Coordination Group is also a new feature. It's a new cross-sectoral interinstitutional body with stakeholders on equal footing with representatives from the institutions. ERCA is a member there, and so you can use it to make your ideas better known and contribute to positive outcomes at EU and national levels as well. The Rural Pact Community Platform is here to help people, I mean, to provide a space to learn and exchange with others, and possibly create your own space to share information. So what you can do is engage and share to enrich the collective knowledge that we are creating there and help ideas for action to emerge. This is important. We don't want the Pact just to be a talk shop, but we want it to help ideas for action to emerge and to be implemented. The commitments to act is a sensitive issue for rural organizations, because you tell us everything that we do is already for rural. So what's the difference? And what we see is that it's for organized. We want those who do not take action to take action, including the national authorities. So that's why there's this idea of commitments to act. But for you who are already doing things, it's also a way to increase the visibility of that action, and to provide ideas of initiatives to take to others. So what you can do is get inspired and inspire others, promote what you do in the Pact through these commitments, and help create critical mass around this, and show that we are many to think that rural areas are places of opportunities and need to be also supported. And then things that are not done directly by the Pact, but are with our Commission contribution to the Pact. So the Rural Action Plan, there's this EU Rural Observatory, which helps you access to data, and the Rural Toolkit that is going to be presented to help can help you identify the right funding schemes for the things you want to do. So what you can do is use these tools and tell us how you would like them to be improved. I say mindful of resources, because what people want is always a lot, and we don't have so many resources to implement these actions, but we were always keen to hear how we can improve things. And then in the Rural Action Plan, a number of the actions actually provides for new opportunities for funding, being research and innovation, or these calls I mentioned from DG Grow, or calls for 5G communities, energy communities that come from different sources, Erasmus, etc. So if you connect to the community, you will be able to get informed. And so, yeah, just what you can do is stay tuned and apply to benefit. And if you find it difficult to apply, like the conversation we've had with Vanessa, help us understand why, so we can see if we can do something about it in the way the funds are handled. So be informed, participate, take action. You have the links there. There are 2 steps. First is to join the Rural Pact community. Now, this is done through the platform. And you can do that only to get started and get in touch with the initiative. And then the second step is to take action to contribute to the vision and share it with us. And for that, you can fill in the commitment canvas. The commitments are going to be through the platform at some point as well, but we're still into IT development. So this is not yet the case. Hence these two steps. Yes. Last but not least, what's the next steps? So as Commission, in the communication, we committed in March 20 and to publish in the first quarter of 24, so that should be in March at the latest, a report where we will take stock of the implementation of the rural vision, both the rural action plan and the policies that have been programmed to support rural areas, mainly CAP and cohesion policy in the 21-27 period. And we should also propose a set of reflections on how to enhance support for rural areas and the ways forward. And this to feed the debate on the future of EU policies, on the future multi-financial framework. But that debate on future EU policies will rather take place after the elections, once we have a new Commission and a new European Parliament in place after the June 2024 election. So these 2 moments are the main milestones in next year. And with that, I do end, and thank you for your attention and look forward to your questions.